utility consumers have today been pouring out their anger over demands for an upward review of tariffs. The Electricity Company of Ghana is in the process of actually proposing an increment of 148% in adjustments of tariffs. Now, together with NETCO, GRIDCO, VRA, and the Ghana Water Company, they have been explaining why the need for why the need to increase their tariffs. Now, at the first of the series of engagements with consumers representing different working groups, they say the utility providers haven't done enough to actually justify that increase. My colleague Justice Beidou was at the University of Ghana where the PURC meeting was held and now joins us in studio. Justice, it's good to see you. So you've been monitoring the engagements throughout the day. Bring us up to speed with the interaction between the public and the utility companies as well. We know that PURC was leading or spearheading this discussion.
So they say that this is the first of 5 separate engagements that they plan to hold across the country to get people involved in the process in what is supposed to be their series of engagement, basically to arrive at the point where they make that decision whether to agree to these demands that these utility providers are asking for or not. And if they will, how much would that be? As you say, ECG, for example, is asking in excess of 140% increment in the amount of tariffs that they are currently charging now. Today, they spent a good number of the day basically saying why they need this, and for them it is a desperate need, which is why they've asked for this. They talk about issues of the excess capacity charges that they are having to pay for. They talk about how inflation, which now goes beyond about 7.5 cedis per $1, and how that has affected the work that they do, because a lot of the things that go into their production have to be paid for in dollars. Paying for the IPPs, for example, has to be done in dollars. And what that means is that taking their tariffs in cedis and then converting them into dollars, they are always affected because of the escalating dollar rate.
And we understand that some persons were even fuming at the engagement. Tell us about that.
It was a very heated engagement today. Many people weren't convinced at all at the demands that were being made. A lot of the people who came up spoke about the inefficiencies within the system, not just with ECG, with the water company as well, and went on to complain that if the ECG did its work in closing the gaps and sealing the holes within its structures, they would be able to make some savings, and then that could be money that they could reinvest into their work, which would then not make some of these tariff adjustments necessary. A lot of them were very, like I said, it was very heated engagement, and we could go ahead and listen to some of them.
Right.
ECG for Abba rounds. Say we have tempered with the meter. Legal connection. Okay. Illegal connection. You. Afi Rebecca almost head office. You call head office. Meanwhile, na meter no aye faulty. I'm 1 month. I feel almost be born home no mobile. Almost say obi a temper with it. Why almost say almost munim. Nti almost they make call head office. You call no. Almost my bill of 16,000. Now me say why? Almost say even so we have legal connection. Let's say chiwa 1 month per no amount I no. You can be a month yes, charge me for 16,000. Then me to 4,000 at a spot. They made payment plan for me to pay it 1 month. So every month I pay 22,000 cedis. 2,000 na me tuano. Me tuya ko kwabenya. Me ko tuya 2,000 no. Me tuya for 3 months, which is 6,000. Me won one and my lights call off. And my money friend me say lights call off. So me call substation say me cut power. Me call almost say, Madam, what the car will meet and swinty? Yenti mean Tom out. Nam say no. I know say me will debt be a me to but time and soon ye. Inti no me say me to power. Almost yenti mean Tom out. Ti me frere circle on head office on. Now doctor no wanna catch me say. Me call me area which is Kwabenya is okay. Me call Kwabenya. Me call gentleman on a share no catch me say madam e ka was so am say no minim say Canada wo ho aka about 4,000 na metua but then metua 6,000 enti no me time nso ye enti me what time I say me dey top power enti mo me top power I say no na am say no enya na de me nko enyina ye beda wa ha say ti me ni omo ekoso a enti na gentleman ehun say me ni abre na ode me call omo computer room ho ye dru ho no mo no gentleman bi ote ho no mo I say, Madam, what the car free hako? What the car is a wound to your baby dede? Nam can say, okay, fine. Min go school, minima dear. The moment I'm person mature on say, computer na muti eche no mo de bokrono. Because me 2 years sikano. I say for receipt bra. Me provide receipt ni nyina ma na. Ni omu ye ne say, tell us na omo te ho no mo no. Me ko tuya 2,000, me tuya na 2,000 na. And say 29th na me tuya. Ye printy we ni nyina no friend is saying what do you call it receipts ni nyina ye printy ye no dey bi wo hono ma me adana me ntu e bi emmo mu se bia metua 500 200 receipt ni bia ye bi 200 20 ns me tua na ne anopa 12 o'clock ewia 12 o'clock ya ye bi anopa me tua 200 cedis ewia me be tua 30 cedis o ma chiche mu ewo we no so enti ye printing statement ni nyina buy which means 6,000 na metua no wo ma chiche mu enna omudi bi ahye baabi.
Right, so Justice will help us understand what exactly the frustration of the woman was.
So this is only one of many several stories of people just sharing how inefficient they feel the utility providers have been. Right. So this woman, for example, she was there representing an association of hairdressers. She told me she runs a hairdressing shop in Kwabenya, and she basically just had this issue with her meter. And very, very complicated story. But long story short, she basically had to pay an amount of 16,000 to defray her cost, which she agreed to pay. Which she agreed to pay. And in the process of paying, which, as she said, she was paying it in installment of 2,000 every month, and that she had been doing for 3 months. And in the middle of this payment, she had her power taken. Again. And yes, again. And then she went to the ECG to confront them. And it was only then that she realized that the 6,000 that she said she had paid hadn't reflected in the ECG systems. And so she was still owing that amount. And according to her, and it was not just her, many other people who spoke not just about electricity, but also about water, spoke about some of these inefficiencies, issues of water lines that are cut and water running out for days unattended to, and basically saying that looking at the time that we are in with everything else going up, inflation skyrocketing, it is basically not right to have an upward review of the tariffs. Right.
Justice, thank you for giving us the latest updates. But looking at all of these challenges, how do we ensure efficiency? And will the ECG be justified in going ahead with the demand for a 148% hike in tariffs? Let's speak to Dr. Yusuf Suleiman now. He is an energy strategist joining us via Zoom. So you've heard some of the accounts, very chilling, indeed, suggesting issues of power theft and all of that. Are you very much conversant with some of these happenings? And going forward, is the ECG really justified in making these new demands? Yes, you'd have to unmute for us so we can hear you.
Thank you very much.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Hello, can you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And good afternoon or good evening to your cherished viewers in Ghana and then across the globe. Yeah, indeed, this is very interesting. I mean, the encounter is highly revealing. And as to whether ECG, they are in the right position to demand this much, I think the question is everybody knows what the fundamental issues are. The fundamental issues are that we have gross inefficiencies within the system. And so to cover this inefficiency with tariff hikes is always going to be a problem. But of course, you have to look at it holistically in the wider perspective. First of all, I want to say that this engagement that PRC is championing is highly commendable. I'm saying it's highly commendable because it is coming within an atmosphere where we already have, situations where pump prices in terms of petroleum products are very, very high. And so these tempests are inevitable. They are supposed to be expected. And so for PRC to engage stakeholders to deliberate on the way forward and to understand the situation and to appreciate what these stakeholders are feeling, I think it is an excellent move. And what happens is that, and I'm also happy to hear that it is the first line of series of engagement that they're going to do. Yes, we need a lot of engagement, blessed, because the situation is quite dire. We have inflationary pressures that is hovering around global economies. And this acts of indiscriminate increment of tariffs or whatever, will only add to the burden. And if we don't check it, it's going to be so much difficult to the end user, the poor consumer at the end of the day. So yes, ECG, they are within their right to ask that, but whether it is justifiable or not, whether it is justifiable or the prudence of it is questionable. Because if you look at the kind of phenomenal losses that somebody just mentioned, which is true, both technical and then commercial losses that are inherent in the system. If we channel all our energies to fix that, what will happen is that there is already a percentage that the consumer pays for these losses. We have technical losses, commercial losses that consumer pay about 20 to 25% within the tariff structure. Now, if you manage to channel our energies in blocking these loopholes, what it will then mean is that it will relieve the consumer, and then the ECG will have opportunity, or the utility service provider will have opportunity to, either go up or stay where it is. I think that's going to be difficult. So yes, the timing is bad. I will say it is very, very bad, because they're coming at a time when we already have a situation at hand, very difficult situation where consumers are made to pay so much at the pump.
And indeed, looking at the trajectory and what it is that the PRC has been doing, this obviously forms part of the very last stages of the engagements ahead of the announcement of the adjustments. From where you see things going, do you feel that would indeed see a rise on upward adjustment in the tariffs?
Yeah, it is very difficult. If you look at our tariff structure, it's already very high. If you look at it critically, it's already very high. I wish that these deliberations could go on, but if we can keep it on hold and look at how the economy recovery of the situation that we find ourselves, how it will proceed. Other than that, I think when we go ahead with this tariff increment, it could be counterproductive. Why am I saying it could be counterproductive? Because the already amount that we are charging, we are not able to recover that. And so that's why I started by saying that if we channel our energies in blocking these loopholes, there might not be any even need for tariff adjustment. And the reason why it's going to be very difficult at this time, as we speak, is the fact that the same consumer who pays high at the pump in terms of pump prices is the same consumer that's going to pay this hike in tariffs. So I think the deliberations will go on, and the fact that PRC is bringing in all the stakeholders, it is the right move to go, because at the end of the day, these stakeholders are going to owe the outcome. And so if we understand, I'm sure the utility service provider will also be in a better position to appreciate, the consumer, or those who consume the power, or those who consume the utility, how they feel. So at the end of the day, what's the need of increasing tariffs if you cannot get the money? Or if you get the money and then it is, leaking, that is going to be difficult. So as to whether this increment will come to fruition, I think it's going to be very difficult, and the timing is very bad.
Right, and I guess finally, we don't have all of the time, but in a minute, the concern about government intervention. How crucial will that be at this moment?
Yeah, I think it's very crucial, especially at this time. Economies are facing what you call a phenomenal inflationary pressures globally due to high energy cost. And so what every government should look at is ways of lubricating the economy, ways of stimulating economic growth. Energy cost is very high. And so if we are able to put our foot on the ground to cut the cost of energy, it's going to catapult or skyrocket. I mean, it's going to catapult into other areas with positive benefits.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is that at this moment in time, I think the government needs to step in. It is not let's say, government intervention. This is what I'll call a positive intervention, an intervention that will catapult economic growth. Because if you're able to cap the energy prices, whatever the pump prices, whatever utility prices, whatever be the case that the government can do, if not, decrease it, but to cap it at a point that the consumer can pay. Because at the end of the day, the tax that we pay is the consumer who buys the goods and services that we can get the taxes. If you're able, if he stunts consumer spending, or if he stifles consumer spending, it will come back to hit us negatively, because the spending that lubricates the economy. So I think the government has to do something, however little it's going to be, because that's what every economy at this stage in time is doing, to look at ways to cushion the consumer so that the consumer spending can be, enhanced. And if consumer spending is enhanced, I think overall it will inure to the benefit of the economy.
So let's see how that will go. Dr. Yusuf Suleiman, thank you for your time.